The morning began like any other day on Earth. People were going to work. Children were getting ready for school, and soldiers in different bases were cleaning their weapons. No one knew that in a few minutes, everything on the planet would change forever. High above the sky, something strange appeared, huge shadows moving across the clouds. At first, people thought they were storm clouds or maybe strange weather. But then the shapes became clearer. They were ships. Not human ships. Not planes. Not satellites. These things were massive, larger than cities, dark and metallic, floating slowly and silently above every major country. When the first ship passed over New York, car alarms went off instantly. People stopped on the streets and looked up in fear. In Japan, in Pakistan, in Europe, in Africa, everywhere, people stepped outside their homes to watch these giant objects cover the sky. Birds flew away. Dogs hid. Something deep inside every human heart whispered the same warning. This is not good. Within minutes, loudspeakers from the alien ships turned on. The voice that spoke was cold, mechanical, and impossible to ignore. It echoed across mountains, oceans, and cities. Attention, humans. All firearms must be surrendered, now. The message played over and over. Every language. Every country. Every person heard it. At first, people were confused. Why guns? Why only guns? Why not ask for something else? But before anyone could even discuss it, something terrifying happened. All guns stopped working, every single one. Soldiers and military bases tried firing their rifles, nothing. Police officers pulled their pistols and pressed the triggers. Silence. Hunters in the forest looked down at their weapons in shock. Even old rifles kept in closets failed. Ammunition became useless. Bullets would not fire. Tanks would not shoot. Fighter jets lost their missiles. It was as if the entire world's weapons had turned into toys. In one moment, Earth became defenseless. Panic spread everywhere. News channels showed soldiers shouting in confusion. Scientists rushed to explain the strange energy field covering the planet, but they had no solution. People began calling their families, trying to understand what was happening. Social media filled with videos of people pulling triggers. Again and again, nothing happening. Then the alien voice spoke again. Your world is now safe. Violence has ended. You will live under our protection. But no one believed that. The aliens did not come to bring peace. Their ships positioned themselves above every continent like silent watchers. Soon, glowing blue pods dropped from the ships and landed in cities. These pods opened and tall, armored alien soldiers marched out, silent, silver, and deadly. Their armor shined in the sun, and their glowing helmets showed no emotion. They did not speak to humans. They only scanned the streets, took control of buildings, and set up checkpoints. People finally understood the truth. The aliens had not banned guns to stop violence. They banned guns so humans could not fight back. In a small bunker deep under the mountains, a group of resistance fighters gathered around a meeting table. Among them was Captain Rowan, a former engineer with sharp eyes and a calm face. He watched the news screens quietly as alien soldiers captured town after town. A young fighter named Lila said, "We have no weapons left. How do we fight an enemy we can't shoot?" Rowan leaned back, thinking deeply. "Guns were not the reason humans won wars," he said softly. "It was our mind, our ability to create." Outside, alien troops marched through cities. Anyone who protested was stunned by electric pulses and dragged away. Governments tried to negotiate but got no answers. Earth was being taken piece by piece. In one small village, the aliens surrounded a group of farmers. One of them, an old man, lifted a rusted shotgun in fear. The alien commander walked up to him, raised his hand, and the gun fell apart, disintegrating into dust. The aliens laughed, as if mocking human weakness. Back in the bunker, the resistance group continued their argument. "We can't attack them," Lila said. "Their armor is too strong." Rowan looked at a blueprint on his tablet. "What if," he said slowly, "we don't use guns at all?" The others stared at him. "What do you mean?" Another fighter asked. Rowan tapped the screen. Their energy field only disables guns. Not metal. Not pressure. Not physical force. The room grew silent. You're saying we use old weapons? Lila asked. Rowan nodded. Not old. Upgraded. Rebuilt. Reinvented. He turned the screen around. On it was a design of something simple, something ancient, but also something powerful, a steel bow. Not wood, not plastic. Solid forged steel, reinforced with energy-resistant alloys. Arrows can't be disabled by their field, Rowan explained. If we build them strong enough, fast enough, sharp enough, they can break alien armor. The resistance stared at the blueprint in shock. It was crazy. It was impossible. It was human. Outside the bunker, alien soldiers dragged more civilians from their homes. The world was sinking into fear. But inside that hidden room, something new was being born. Hope. Rowan stood up and spoke with quiet determination. They took our guns, he said. But they didn't take our hands. They didn't take our minds. They didn't take our will to fight. The others slowly nodded. We will build, Rowan said. We will forge, Lila. And we will strike, another whispered. For the first time since the invasion, the group felt the spark of courage returning. The day the guns went silent was the day Earth fell, but it was also the day humans began something new, something the aliens never expected. The rebirth of human weapons, the rise of the steel bow, and the beginning of a war the aliens would regret starting. Captain Rowan did not sleep that night. While the rest of the resistance tried to rest on thin blankets and cold concrete floors, he sat alone at his workbench inside the underground bunker. A single lamp flickered above him as he studied metal pieces, old blueprints, and salvaged alien parts. His fingers were covered in dust and grease, but he did not stop working. Earth was falling. Towns were being taken. The aliens controlled every city now. Their armored soldiers walked through streets like they owned the world. People had lost hope. But Rowan kept repeating one line in his mind: humans adapt. That idea kept him awake. That idea kept him working. When morning came, Lila entered the workshop with dark circles under her eyes. She had barely slept. Rowan, she said softly, you need rest. You've been awake all night. Rowan shook his head. There's no time for sleep. We have to build something the aliens don't expect. Lila walked closer and looked at the strange metal frame Rowan was holding. It was curved, heavy, and smooth. What is that? She asked. Rowan took a deep breath. Our new weapon. Lila blinked. That looks like a bow. A steel bow, Rowan said. Not wood. Not plastic. Steel forged from old machine parts and hardened alloys. Lila frowned. But bows? Against aliens with armor? Isn't that too old-fashioned? Rowan smiled quietly. Old doesn't mean weak. The aliens banned guns, not physics. They control bullets, gunpowder, and triggers. But they cannot stop speed, pressure, and force. She watched him attach thick strings made from reinforced synthetic fibers. The bow creaked as he pulled the string back. Even Lila felt the tension in the air. That thing looked dangerous. Try pulling it, Rowan said. Lila grabbed the bow and tried to draw it back. Her arms shook. She couldn't move it even halfway. This is impossible, she complained. That's because this bow isn't for sport, Rowan explained. It's a weapon built to punch through alien armor. Only trained fighters will be able to use it. Lila stared at the bow again. It felt ancient yet powerful. It was simple yet terrifying. A moment later, the bunker alarm buzzed lightly. More resistance members entered the room. Among them was Darek, a large man with arms like steel pipes. He looked at the bow and laughed. You want us to fight aliens with toys? Rowan handed him the bow. Try pulling it. Darek grinned and pulled the string. To everyone's surprise, he managed to draw it, but only barely. His muscles strained and his face turned red, but the bow finally reached full draw. He whistled in disbelief. This thing is a monster. Rowan held up a long metal arrow. It had a sharpened alloy tip shaped to crush armor instead of piercing it. The arrow felt heavier than normal arrows, almost like a spear. Our arrows, Rowan explained, are made to break their shields. Even a small crack will disable their energy fields. The group followed Rowan outside to a small testing chamber inside the bunker. Old metal sheets were stacked against the wall, scrap from cars, machines, and even broken alien armor collected from earlier battles. Fire at that, Rowan instructed Derek. Derek nodded, aimed, and let go. Thwack! The arrow shot forward faster than anyone expected. It smashed into the metal sheet and buried itself deep inside, splitting the steel. Dust flew everywhere. The entire bunker echoed with the impact. Everyone stared at the shattered metal in shock. That, Leela whispered, that was stronger than a bullet. Rowan nodded. And the aliens do not expect it. For the first time since the invasion, the resistance felt excitement. They crowded around Rowan's desk, asking questions. How many can we build? Can we train with them? Will the aliens detect these? Do we have enough metal? Rowan held up his hand. One at a time. He answered simply, we can build many. We can train everyone. Aliens cannot scan bows or arrows. And we will gather metal from every ruined machine we find. The group was silent for a moment. Then someone said, Rowan, this might actually work. Rowan gave a small smile. It will work, but we need a full fighting force. Men, women, old soldiers, young fighters, anyone willing to pick up a steel bow. The resistance leaders gathered in a circle. They planned quickly and seriously. They would build workshops in caves, forests, abandoned factories, anywhere hidden from alien scanners. They would recover old steel, melt it down, and create more bows. A message would be spread secretly to other groups. The guns are gone. The bows are rising. That night, teams left the bunker quietly to search for scrap metal. They moved carefully through dark forests and destroyed towns, always avoiding alien patrols. The aliens' glowing helmets lit up the streets. Scanning for human activity. The resistance moved like shadows. Derek and Lila traveled with Rowan to an abandoned railway yard. There were old train engines, steel beams, and scrap metal everywhere. Perfect material. As they collected metal pieces, they noticed something troubling: alien footprints near the tracks. They're searching this area, Leela said softly. Rowan nodded. We must work fast. Suddenly, a bright blue light flashed behind them. An alien patrol. 3 armored soldiers stepped out of the shadows, their glowing helmets turning toward the humans. They raised their stun rifles, ready to capture. Lila's heart pounded. Derek reached for his useless gun out of habit. Rowan grabbed a piece of metal pipe, not as a weapon, but as a distraction. Before the aliens could fire, the humans dove behind the train engine. Blue energy blasts hit the metal and created sparks. We can't fight them like this, Lila whispered. Rowan looked at the steel beam they collected. Not yet, he said. But soon. More blasts hit the engine. The humans crawled through the darkness, moving between rusted machinery. When the aliens got too close, Rowan threw the metal pipe far away. The sound distracted the aliens long enough for the 3 humans to escape into the forest. Breathing heavily, they returned to the bunker with the metal they managed to save. Rowan placed the steel beam on the workshop table and said quietly, this is only the beginning. The aliens think they took our weapons. They think we are weak. They think the war is over. He lifted the steel bow. They are wrong. The resistance cheered softly. Hope grew like fire in their hearts. And deep underground, the first steel bow army in human history began to rise. The first steel bows were completed after days of hard work. The underground bunker smelled of hot metal and burning wires, but the resistance fighters did not complain. Every person helped. Some melted scrap metal, some carved arrow shafts, and some tested the strength of new bowstrings. By the end of the week, 12 steel bows and over 100 arrows were ready. They were heavy, dangerous, and beautiful in their own rough way. Each one carried the hope of humanity. But the real test still waited outside. The aliens had tightened patrols. Their silver armor shone under the sun as they marched through ruined towns. Every street corner had scanners. Every building had surveillance drones watching from above. People barely dared to leave their homes anymore, one of the towns suffering. Under alien control was Oak Ridge, a once peaceful place filled with small shops and quiet houses. Now it looked like a prison. Alien banners hung from buildings. Broken cars lay in the streets. Families hid in basements. Alien soldiers checked every home, searching for rebels. The resistance decided that Oak Ridge would be the place where they would test their new weapons. Rowan gathered the fighters in the bunker. He stood tall, his face serious but full of determination. "Today is the day," he said. "We show the aliens that humans can still fight." The fighters nodded. They were nervous, but they trusted Rowan. Lila and Derek stood beside him, ready with their new bows strapped across their backs. The resistance moved at night, traveling through forest paths and dry riverbeds. The moonlight guided them. No one spoke. Every sound felt dangerous. When they reached the edge of Oak Ridge, they hid behind trees and broken walls. From there, they could see the aliens. A full squad marched down the main street. Their boots hit the ground with mechanical rhythm. Their blue visors glowed in the dark. They carried stun rifles deadly at close range. Rowan whispered, "We do not attack unless we must. Wait for my signal." The fighters positioned themselves on rooftops, behind fences, and in alleyways. They were shadows in the night. Their hearts pounded loudly, but their hands stayed steady around the heavy bow grips. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the street. Two aliens dragged a teenage boy out of his home. His parents begged for mercy, but the aliens ignored them. They scanned the boy and pointed toward a transport pod. "They're taking him," Lila whispered in horror. Rowan clenched his jaw. "We have no choice." He raised his hand, the signal. The resistance held their breath. Derek pulled his bowstring back. Muscles bulged. The bow creaked under the pressure. Rowan whispered, "Aim for the armor plates. Lower torso. It's the weakest point." Vin thunk. The first arrow flew through the air like a silent lightning bolt. It hit the alien soldier in the chest with brutal force. The armor cracked. The alien fell backward, stunned and confused. Everyone froze, humans and aliens alike. The aliens had never seen this before. Then the second arrow flew, then a third, then 10 more. The street exploded into chaos. Aliens shouted in their strange language, trying to find the attackers. But the arrows came from everywhere: rooftops, windows, behind broken trucks. The alien scanners failed to detect the projectiles. One alien soldier tried to raise his weapon, but Derek's arrow hit his arm, driving him into the wall. Another alien turned to flee, but Lila's shot pierced his leg, dropping him instantly. The townspeople watched from doorways in shock and hope. For the first time since the invasion, humans were winning. The alien squad leader roared and activated his shield. A large blue bubble formed around him. Normal weapons couldn't break it. Rowan saw this and took aim with a special arrow one with a reinforced tip and heavy alloy core. He whispered, "Let's see what you're made of." He fired. The arrow hit the shield, and for a second the shield held strong. It shimmered, pushing back against the force. But then the metal tip cracked through. A small hole appeared. The shield flickered, and the alien leader looked down at the broken shield in disbelief. Rowan fired a second arrow. The leader collapsed. The remaining aliens turned and ran, not in formation, not with discipline, but in fear. Their armor clattered loudly as they fled toward the landing zone. The street became silent. Again, only the humans stood there, breathing hard but victorious. Then cheers erupted. People ran out of their homes, hugging the fighters, thanking them. Some cried, some laughed. Children stared in awe at the steel bows. One old man approached Rowan and put his shaking hand on Rowan's shoulder. "You gave us hope," he whispered. "We thought we were finished. But you reminded us who we are." Rowan felt something warm rise in his chest. Pride, maybe. Or something stronger. But he also knew this victory meant something dangerous. The aliens will not ignore this. Rowan said to the resistance, "They will send more troops. Heavier armor. Stronger weapons. Lila asked, "What do we do now?" Rowan looked at the broken alien armor on the ground. He picked up a cracked helmet and studied it. "We learn," he said. "We study their weaknesses. We build better bows, stronger arrows, faster weapons." Derek nodded. This was only the beginning. The Resistance gathered all the alien bodies and equipment. They did not want anything left behind for alien reinforcements to track. They moved quickly, disappearing into the night like shadows. As they traveled back to their bunker, Rowan made the fighters repeat one line: "Silent in the night, deadly in the fight." That line became their promise, and so the news spread across hidden radios and whispered networks. Humans won their first battle. Arrows broke alien armor. Hope has returned. But among the alien command ships floating in the sky, a different message spread. New human weapon detected. Unknown projectile type. Prepare countermeasures. The aliens had felt fear for the first time. And fear would make them dangerous, but humans had awakened. The victory in Oak Ridge changed everything. Not for the aliens, but for the humans. For the first time since the invasion, humans believed they could win. Small resistance groups across the country heard the news through old radios, coded messages and whispered rumors. A bow broke alien armor. Humans fought back. Not all hope is lost. But the aliens also heard something. A message they did not like. Unknown human weapon detected. Projectile-based. Not scannable. Not stoppable. The alien commanders were furious. They increased patrols, set up new bases, and released flying drones into the skies to hunt for the resistance. The war was changing. The aliens would not allow another Oak Ridge, and humans were preparing for exactly that. The hidden forge deep. Inside the mountains, Rowan and his resistance team built something new, something bigger than a bunker. Bigger than a base. They called it the Hidden Forge, thought it wasn't a real forge from ancient times. It was a mix of old and new. Steel furnaces built from broken water heaters, pressure machines made from car engines. Tools made from spare airplane parts, electric hammers powered by stolen alien batteries. Every corner of the forge bustled with activity. Men and women shaped metal. Young fighters carved arrow shafts. Older engineers polished bow limbs. Mothers and fathers packed food for workers. Everyone had a role, and in the center of the forge stood Rowan, watching over everything like a general watching his army grow. Lila walked up to him with a small toolbox. Her hair was tied back, her cheeks smudged with soot. "We finished 20 more arrows," she said proudly. Rowan smiled. "Good, we'll need them soon." Derek joined them, carrying a large sheet of steel on his shoulder. "Rowan," he said, "the scouts returned. This alien movement near the North Road. A big patrol." Rowan nodded slowly. He wasn't surprised. "They're searching for us." Layla frowned. "How long until they find the forge?" Rowan sighed. "Not long. That's why we move like shadows. That's why this war must be silent." The Shadow STRIKRistans decided to break into smaller teams called Shadow Strikers. These teams did not fight the aliens openly. They hit fast and vanished. They attacked at night. They left no tracks behind. It was a new kind of warfare, one humans were good at. Rowan trained the fighters personally. How to move without making sound, how to read alien patrol patterns, how to strike from high ground, how to shoot arrows through narrow gaps, how to disappear before aliens. Reacted Lila led one team. She was light-footed, quick-thinking, and sharp-eyed. She could slip through ruins like a ghost. Derek led another team. His strength allowed him to fire heavy bows that few others could use. His arrows were like small spears that tore through armor with brutal force. Every night, the Shadow Strikers left the Hidden Forge to carry out new missions. Mission 1. Cut the POW with aliens had set up a giant generator tower in the valley. It powered scanners, patrol drones, and force fields. Rowan's team crawled through tall grass, moving silently as the moon dipped behind clouds. Lila pointed to the alien guards at the base of the tower. 3 guards. Maybe more inside. Rowan whispered, "No noise. Take them down quietly." Derek pulled back his bow. Funk. One alien dropped without a sound. Lila fired from the left. Another alien fell. Third alien raised his weapon, but Rowan's arrow hit him. Before he could shoot, they reached the generator and planted explosive arrows at the support beams. These arrows had been designed by Rowan using stolen alien metal. Ready? Lila whispered. Rowan nodded and released the final arrow. The generator exploded in a burst of bright sparks. The valley went dark. Alien scanners blinked out one by one. The shadow strikers melted back into the forest before reinforcements arrived. Mission 2. Break the supply. Lion Eos and other team ambushed an alien convoy. Large armored transports moved slowly down a cracked highway. Hidden in the trees, Rowan gave the signal. Arrows rained down like silent thunder. The first transport lost its driver as an arrow pierced the cockpit. The second fell sideways as Derek's heavy arrow destroyed its wheel. Aliens rushed out, confused, firing into the forest with blind energy blasts. But the shadow strikers were no longer there. They had moved deeper, circling around for another attack. They hit the convoy again from the opposite side, leaving the aliens spinning in fear. Within minutes, the entire supply line was destroyed. In the end, humans didn't even take anything. They simply vanished, leaving chaos behind. Mission 3. Free the CAPTI's. One team found an alien prison cage inside an abandoned school. Dozens of people were trapped inside. Rowan personally led this mission. They waited until midnight, then slipped through the broken windows. The alien guards were large and heavily armored, but slow. The first guard fell with an arrow to the neck. The second fell with an arrow to the shoulder. The third soundlessly collapsed before he even understood he was under attack. Rowan shot the lock on the cage, and the prisoners rushed out, whispering grateful words and hugging the fighters. "We thought no one was coming," an old woman cried. Rowan said softly, "Humans never leave their own behind." They escaped before alien reinforcements arrived. The aliens get Angie RY back on their ships. Alien commanders watched reports from the ground. Patrols destroyed. Generators down. Convoys ruined. Prison camps emptied. Alien Commander Vorex slammed his armored fist against the table. "These humans fight with simple sticks," he roared. "How do they cause so much damage?" His officers remained silent. Vorex glared at the hologram of a steel arrow. He zoomed in on it. "This weapon must be eliminated." He pointed at a map of Earth. "Find the weapon maker. Find the forge. Find the humans who strike from shadows. Capture them, or destroy them." From that moment, the alien army changed tactics. Bigger patrols, heavier armor, stronger scanners, faster drones. The war was no longer one-sided. It was becoming a deadly game of cat and mouse. The war, as only Biju and Rowan knew the truth. The aliens had noticed them, and they were coming. He gathered the fighters in the hidden forge. "The shadows protect us," he said. "But shadows can also be hunted. What do we do?" Lila asked. Rowan lifted a new bow, bigger, darker, more powerful than the others. "We evolve," he said. "Like humans always do." The war of shadows had begun, and humans were getting stronger. The night sky burned red as another alien sky tower collapsed in the distance. The ground shook like a living thing, sending cracks through the dry soil. Nathan stood on a hill of broken metal, his steel bow in his hand, breathing hard. He could feel the tension of the war changing. Something big was coming, but he did not know if it was a victory or a disaster. Behind him, the other fighters rested, pulling arrows out of the remains of alien drones. Their armor was scratched, their faces dirty, but their eyes were bright with fire. They had won 3 battles in a row. The aliens, the Skykeepers, were no longer impossible to defeat. They were bleeding. Captain Mira walked up beside Nathan. Her face had 2 cuts and dust stuck to her hair, but she stood tall. "Scouts returned," she said. "The Skykeepers are preparing something. A last strike. Something huge." Nathan tightened his grip on his bowstring. "How huge?" he asked. Mira shook her head. They say the aliens have opened a gateway. A big one. Something is coming through. The soldiers around them froze. Even the wind seemed to stop. Nathan looked at the burning horizon. Then we hit them first. The camp had changed over the last few days. What used to be a group of frightened humans hiding from drones had turned into a real force. Steel bows lined the weapon racks. Arrows glowed brighter than before. Blacksmiths hammered metal without rest. Even people who had never fought before now trained with wooden bows, learning to pull the string, learning to aim. People whispered that humans had finally found their spirit, but fear still lived between them. Nobody knew what the Sky Keepers were calling from the gateway. Nathan was checking the string on his bow when an old man approached him. It was Eldrick, the smith who had helped him shape the first steel arrow. Eldrick's hands were covered in soot. "I made something," he said, holding out a small metal cylinder. Nathan looked at it. "What is this?" "A whisper bomb," Eldrick answered. "Small, easy to throw. When it hits something, it bursts with a shock wave. Not like a gun, not really, but enough to break open alien armor." Nathan almost smiled. "Still not a gun," the old man smirked. "No guns, just louder arrows." He walked away before Nathan could thank him. When the moon rose, a strange light spread across the sky. A circular tear opened like a door made of lightning. It hummed, crackled, and tore at the clouds. The ground vibrated under everyone's feet. Mira ran forward. "That's it. The gateway." Alien ships circled it like metal insects. Their lights flashed yellow and blue. They were guarding the tier, protecting whatever was coming through. Nathan's heart beat faster. The Sky Keepers had always been strong, but now they were calling for something stronger. Eh? Shadow moved inside the gateway, large, too large. "Everyone ready." Mira shouted. The fighters formed into groups. They lifted their steel bows. Arrows glowed bright enough to light the field. Nathan stood at the front with Myra. "What do we do if something massive comes out?" "We improvise," Myra replied, trying to sound confident. But Nathan saw the fear in her eyes. They were humans, brave, stubborn, clever, but still human. The gateway exploded with white light. A creature stepped out. It walked on 4 legs, each one armored with plates thicker than a tank. Its head had no eyes, but it moved with perfect awareness, sensing everything. Its skin was shiny metal, like liquid armor. Behind it, more shapes moved, smaller creatures, all connected by glowing wires on their backs. Nathan whispered, "A war beast." The creature roared. The sound tore through the air like a storm. The alien ships fired blue beams at the ground, guiding the beast forward. It followed their path, crushing rocks like sand. Mira shouted, "Fire at will!" Arrows flew. They streaked across the sky in glowing lines. Dozens hit the creature's armor but bounced off. Nathan fired 5 times, nothing. Then the beast charged. The ground shook so violently that several humans fell. The creature slammed into a large rock and crushed it like paper. The shock wave threw dust everywhere. "This thing is unstoppable," someone yelled. Nathan didn't listen. He looked for weak points. Every creature had one. Even this monster. He spotted the glowing wires on its back. They pulsed with blue light, connecting the beast to the alien's control system. Nathan grabbed Eldrick's whisper bomb. "Myra!" He shouted, "Cover me!" He ran downhill straight toward the creature. "Nathan, stop!" Mira yelled, but he was already moving. The war beast lowered its head and charged at him. Its steps shook the earth. Nathan felt the air burning around him. He slid on the dirt at the last second, rolled under the creature's body, and climbed onto its side. He clung to a piece of armor, arrows flying around him. The beast bucked, trying to throw him off. Nathan pulled the whisper bomb's pin, jammed it into the glowing wires, and jumped off. The bomb exploded with a thunderous crack. The wires shattered. Sparks shot out like fireworks. The beast staggered, confused. Its legs shook. Its roar turned into a glitching metallic scream. The alien ships lost control of it. Nathan did it. Someone shouted dot, but the beast was not dead dot. It turned toward Nathan. Its armor cracked, but still strong dot. It lowered its head dot. It charged again. Mira ran forward, screaming, "Everyone hit it now!" A storm of arrows filled the sky dot. Dozens dot. Hundreds dot. All hitting the cracked armor, all exploding with light. The beast roared one final time and collapsed. Shaking the earth dot. Nathan fell to his knees, exhausted, barely breathing. Mira ran to him and pulled him up. "You're insane," she said. He smiled weakly. "Maybe, but it worked." The humans cheered. The sky burned with falling alien ships losing control without the beast's network. For the first time, the Skykeepers stepped back. They were afraid, and humans were not. The war beast lay silent on the broken ground, its huge metal body still smoking from the blast. The battlefield was quiet for the first time in days. Only the soft crackle of burning wreckage filled the air. Humans stood in disbelief, staring at the fallen creature that had almost ended them. Nathan slowly pushed himself up, his body aching everywhere. Mira stood beside him, her eyes wide with pride and relief. Around them, people whispered, amazed. We killed it," someone said. "No," Mira corrected softly. "We stopped it. Now we take the fight to them." Her words carried strength, and the fighters straightened, gripping their bows with new confidence. Humanity had done the impossible, but the war wasn't over dot at sunrise. The alien gateway still flickered, the crack in the sky glowing faint blue. Ships moved around it, slower now, confused without the war beast's network. Smoke rose from their damaged hulls. Nathan watched them from the hilltop. "They won't give up," he said. Mira nodded. "And we can't wait for their next move." She pointed to the horizon where alien towers rose tall, black metal structures stretching into the clouds. "The core towers," she said. "That's where they control their drones, their ships, their energy fields. We bring those down. The Skykeepers lose everything." Nathan looked at the fighters gathering behind them. Tired faces, injured bodies, hungry eyes, but all of them burning with the same fire. Humans were small, but their spirit was enormous. And that was enough. The march to the towers took half a day. The land was lonely and ruined, scattered with fallen machines. The sky was dark with strange clouds left behind by alien engines. Each step felt heavy, like walking through the remains of a broken world, but there was strength too. Humans walked shoulder to shoulder, sharing food, helping the wounded, whispering plans. Nathan noticed something different now. Nobody looked scared. They looked determined. Eldrick walked beside Nathan, carrying a pack full of whisper bombs and metal parts. "Never thought I'd see humans marching toward alien towers with bows," he said with a laugh. Nathan smiled. "Never thought bows would save the world." Eldrick patted his shoulder. "You gave people hope, kid. That's bigger than any weapon." As they reached the final ridge, the core towers came into full view. They were huge, 3 dark metal spires rising like claws, covered in glowing symbols. Strange energy hummed around them, forming blue waves that moved like water in the air. Alien machines guarded the base, floating drones, armored soldiers, and tall razor-legged walkers. Mira raised her hand. The human army stopped. "This is it," she said. "This is the final line. We win here or we disappear from this world." Her voice was steady, but Nathan saw the trembling in her fingers. She wasn't afraid. She was ready. Nathan stepped ahead, taking out an arrow and running his fingers along the steel. "We hit them fast," he said. "We hit them hard." "No fear," a young boy in the back whispered, "for Earth." Others followed. Soon a wave of voices rose, "For Earth, for freedom, for humans." The chant echoed across the battlefield. Then the sky opened. Alien dropships descended, their engines screaming like thunder. Soldiers poured out, tall armored skykeepers, their silver helmets reflecting the light. They carried long electric staffs that sparked with blue energy. The humans braced themselves. Myra shouted, "Archers!" "Ready!" Nathan lifted his bow. The string felt warm in his hand, glowing slightly from the energy running through it. He pulled it back, feeling strength travel through his arm. Fire! The air filled with streaks of glowing arrows. They shot forward like a storm of light, hitting the alien lines. Armor cracked. Sparks exploded. Several skykeepers fell, their staffs flickering out. But the aliens pushed forward with disciplined power. Their movements were smooth, almost machine-like. They raised energy shields that twisted the air around them, blocking many arrows. Nathan fired again and again. Mira fought beside him. Eldrick threw whisper bombs that blasted holes in the alien formations, but still, more aliens came. A towering walker stepped forward, firing blue beams from its eyes. The ground melted where the beams hit. Nathan yelled, "Spread out!" Humans ran in every direction. A beam hit the dirt where Nathan stood seconds earlier, sending heat across his skin. He looked up. The walker stood tall, its armor almost impossible to pierce. Then we find another weak point. Nathan whispered. He ran through falling debris toward the machine. Arrows flew past him, some hitting the legs but bouncing off. Mira saw him and shouted, "Nathan, wait!" But he didn't stop. He remembered how he had defeated the beast by climbing it. He would do it again. Nathan slid behind the walker's leg, grabbing a crack in the metal. He pulled himself up, climbing fast. The machine shook, trying to throw him off, but Nathan held tight. He reached the main joint where wires met, glowing blue. He took an arrow, turned it, and slammed the sharp end into the wires. Sparks exploded. The walker lost balance. It crashed to the ground with a giant metallic roar, shaking the battlefield. Humans cheered loudly, but the fight wasn't over. Mira saw the alien commander appear near the base of the central tower. Tall, with dark armor and a helmet shaped like a bird's skull. He carried a long staff that glowed white. She recognized him. "He's the High Keeper," she whispered. "Their leader on Earth. If they took him down, the war would break." Mira ran forward. "Nathan, with me!" Nathan jumped off the fallen walker and followed her. Eldrick and several fighters joined them. They pushed through broken drones and fallen aliens, fighting step by step. The High Keeper saw them and raised his staff. A wave of white energy slammed into the ground, throwing several humans back. Mira fell to her knees, coughing. Nathan stood in front of her, shielding her with his body. He raised his bow. Humans were tired. Injured. Small. But they still stood. Nathan whispered, "We end this now." He aimed at the High Keeper's helmet. The alien raised his staff for a second strike. Nathan fired. The arrow flew straight, glowing brighter than any arrow before. It hit the alien leader in the center of his helmet. The High Keeper fell. The towers flickered. The energy fields broke. The alien army froze, losing connection to their command network. The humans rose with a roar that shook the sky. The last march had succeeded. The war was turning.